All these companies had social clubs, football teams, cricket teams. You know, Ferranti's had a big social club, which is now Morrison's. There was a cricket pitch there, Lancashire Standard cricket pitch. The football pitch was there, but they didn't have a team. British Aerospace had the Lancaster Club. Mather and Platts had a pitch there, which was top class, that Oldham Athletic and other teams used to use for training facilities. You know, the actual investment in sport and social life, with bowling clubs. I mean, there was all the infrastructure of your social and recreational life. If you worked at a factory, could be literally based around the fact that they provided these facilities. I played football in the Manchester League, and you went to places, pitches like Tootles, Mather and Platt, you had Ship Canal, you had all the big factories in the area had their own facilities, and they were full-time groundsmen, top facilities. Manchester League was one of the top leagues, and players could, develop into pretty good footballers because of the facilities. A lot of the players I played with in the Sunday leagues played on Saturday for the Manchester League teams. I go back to when my dad used to play on Newton Heath Loco. That and subsequent top-class pitches and, top-class local football teams has all but disappeared. And there doesn't seem to be any Sunday League open age football now. It's all kids playing on 5G or 3G or whatever G they're up to now. Every pub had a team. The Thatched House, the Bluebell, the Gardeners, the Museum, the Mowers. This local area now, and that's only in a very small, maybe 5 mile square area, they all had one or maybe even two football teams in the Middleton League or the Blakely League. When we first started in the Blakely League, the guy who used to live at the back of us, Bertie Woods, he was chairman of the league, and he encouraged my dad to put a team in the league. And there was 6 divisions of 10 teams. And mainly pub teams, Blakely, Moston, possibly New Moston, pub teams, club teams, conservative clubs, liberal clubs, Labour clubs. It was like a badge of honour to have a really good football team. And, the players used to move from team to team. And when I played for the Thatched, most of the people who went in the Thatched, drunk in the Thatched, or, as the teams get better, you have to bring better players in. But most of I think every pub and club in Moston had a football team. They had a darts team, they played crib, bowls teams. There was I must say it was a pub culture as much more as it was most people's social life based around a pub was something to do with a sport. Even like the Thatched House, they had darts matches every Thursday, I think. There was 2 football teams run out of there. They had a bowls team. And, if you think of the number of people who that brought into the pub, besides the people who went in drinking, most of the pubs were thriving then. I mean, most of those pubs I've just mentioned, none of them are there now. Ben Briley's gone. There's the Bluebell and the Gardeners and the Mowers left on Moston Lane. All the rest have gone. So, what went with the pubs is, a lot of people's social lives and sporting lives. It was, it's a sad thing, really, because, when we used to live on Moston Lane, we overlooked Broaders playing fields. And every Sunday morning, it was a pain in the ass because they used to park all over the place, the cars. But you could bet every pitch on Broadhurst, which were the worst football pitches you could ever play on. And again, if anybody remembers playing on Broadhurst, it was just like playing on mud. There were no drainage. There were up and down. But everybody used to get out of bed on a Sunday morning, no matter what they'd done the night before, and go and try and play football. So there must have been something in it, but I drive past Broaders now, and all I ever see is little mini football matches. And what's now FC, that used to be Ronald Johnson's playing fields, which was the only decent pitch of the whole lot between Broadhurst and Ronald Johnson's. It was the only pitch that was actually flat. that was the equivalent of Wembley to play on Ronald Johnson. But that's the way things are now, isn't it? I mean, I would never have believed that the Broadhurst would have a semi-professional football team on it and a stadium like that. No one ever envisaged the way that, I suppose the local area would go. But if it does something for the area, enhances kids' chances of, becoming a footballer of some form, some level, you need to have facilities. The facilities in this area have never been the greatest. You either played on Broadhurst, the Boggart Clough, or on shale pitches. A lot of people remember playing on Monsell Wreck and places like that, which were red shale, which is a legacy of probably the particular areas, Monsell, around that area, probably never got any investment, and there was no green area to put a football pitch, but there were cinder pitches. Broadhurst had a cinder pitch. You had Brendan Avenue, which our school played on, which was literally crushed cinders. Very poor. I don't think it was ever marked out, to be honest with you. It was just like it was literally like playing on a clag heap, but you played on it. Everybody played on it. If you had a fixed joint, you turned up and played, and nobody ever really moaned too much about it, because you were just glad to get a game of football, really. Nowadays you've got to have, £300 boots and a £200 tracksuit and, look the part, and, then it was just a case of you enjoyed the game, and it was, and if you got a medal at the end of the season, you did very well out of it. But that's all you played for. And you played with your mates, you went for the pint after with your mates, and that was the way life was then. And there was probably 100 pubs in Manchester that had the same atmosphere, same camaraderie, and if you won something, you got a presentation at the end of the season at Bellevue, and you felt really proud that you'd done something. But like I said, that's long gone. All the pub leagues, as you used to call them, there was characters in that as well. There was some notorious teams in it. They didn't play football. Well, they could play football, but if they couldn't beat you with football, they sort of kick you off the park. New Cross Labour comes to mind, Green Dragon and teams like that. You never turned up against these teams with any chance of winning. And but that was the nature of football then. It was probably considered, and would be now considered, now it's to be a man's sport. And if you didn't want to get knocked about a bit, don't bother turning up to play it. So, but that was part of growing up. I mean, it was most people of my age who played in or were involved in any type of sport around that time, it was all would be the same. You played on 10 Acre Lane, and it was all red shale, and yet next to it was Tootles, which was probably one of the best pitches in Manchester, which was privately owned and run by the Tootle Courtauld family and whatever. Who apparently donated Broaders Fields bequeathed Broaders Fields to the local community. But the generalisation of Sunday football was that you got up and played with your mates from the pub or the club or wherever, and you went out in the after, or you went out in the evening with them. We used to have a rivalry with the Whitegate, so we used to go in the Whitegate sometimes. The Broadway up this end had a reasonable football team, and I still see people around who played at the time. I still have, associate with lads now who we played for, what was Broaders, Celtic, then the Thatched House. And you played in that era, and you never thought them days would end. But obviously, that style of living and that type of living, I wouldn't say it was anything to do with the quality of life, but it was just the way that the world changes, and people had an opportunity to play more sports. You were very limited to what you could play when I was younger, and as time went on, people started playing golf more, and squash and all these other sports came in, badminton even, five-a-side football, different ways of playing the game, seven-a-side. And it just, with the demise of the pubs, the virtual, what was to me, a sporting recreation just disappeared, and like I say, none of these things will ever come back. So if anybody wants to know what it was like, they need to speak to somebody who's probably 65 plus. But it was enjoyable. That's what, the enjoyment you got out of life. Everybody had a certain ability at certain sports or whatever, and football was the local one. And it was, I can only say it was. I really enjoyed it, and I feel people who can't experience it would probably feel that they may have missed out a little bit on life. But I doubt if anybody would really, in this day and age, play on Broaders Field in the height of winter when you're breaking the ice for the referee to allow you to play. And that is, I can get witnesses to that. And when they throw the ball up and it bounced, it didn't matter if it stuck in the mud. He could kick it 10 feet. That was it. We played in unbelievably horrendous conditions. Bone hard, frosty. They just wanted to play football. They just turned up and wanted to play football. You wouldn't entertain it now. Kids now, they play. My brother-in-law runs a team called Northside, and they don't play on grass. He said he can't remember the last time sometimes they play on grass. Everything's 3G or 5G or whatever it is, and they play football to suit the ages of the kids, which is a good thing, because I've seen pitch games on Broaders where you've got kids playing on men's pitches, and the goalkeeper's about 4 foot, and the goals are 7 foot, 8 foot, and you can't miss, can you? It's one of the sort of things you literally can't miss. So the development of skills and stuff. We never did any skill training at all. We just did fitness training in the gym and played football. The concept of dribbling round poles and doing drills is he would never have dreamed he would have got to that stage where kids are coached to that level, which is not a bad thing, because I've watched teams train, kids train, and the level of skill that they have is tremendous. The actual skill level, the physicality and the actual level of determination, maybe, and the fact that you'd play in anything and do anything probably wouldn't be there. But with a ball at the feet, I see kids who are, skill levels nowhere near what I could achieve. But it wasn't about being able to do this, or being stood in the right place, or, you run in here when he runs there, you run there. It was just all, everyone wanted to be Georgie Best and beat 10 people and knock the ball in the net, which they probably still do now, but, that was only a pipe dream, because most players played within your capabilities, which was more, I would say, physical than skill. But when you look back, I mean, it was what it was at the time. Like anything that you discussed or talked about today, it was a point in time thing that you didn't see a go. But as the years sort of drift by, you just saw these things disappear. And you knew that there was no way that this type of industry, job, business, sport, whatever, socialisation was ever going to come back. And it's good to look back on it, to be honest with you. And one thing about memories are, if you've got any memories and you feel that what you have in your head is of some use or some interest to somebody, put it down before you forget it. Because at some point you're not going to be able to draw, certainly the finer points of what you've done. Because if people find things interesting, which, everybody likes a bit of nostalgia here and there, and everybody likes to probably understand what the families or the parents and grandparents and great-grandparents did, or a lot of people interested in family trees, probably a good way to find out about it is discuss what they did when they were younger, what the jobs were, what the social life was. Because it's still, even though it's a generalisation, there's still a lot of personalisation in it. I mean, I'm reading a book now called The Moston Story, and my great-grandfather was the first sexton at Moston Cemetery. And he's in the book, which I hadn't seen until today, there's only ever been 3 sextons in Moston Cemetery. There was John Flannery, John Lavin, and Seamus Croken, who's a friend of my father-in-law's, or was. He passed away, Seamus. So they're the only 3 people who've actually held that position since the concept of St Joseph's Cemetery in Moston. And I only found that out for the fact I was reading something and saw it. So there are things out there that you might think you know a lot about things, but you really, until you go into them, you don't know. And even looking at things like the schools in the area, you remember the schools, Early Lane, Moston Lane, St Dunstan's, the churches in the area. If you don't have an interest in it, it's just an interest to go and look at it, because you will find something you don't know, and you will find something that will be of interest to you. And if you can do it through whatever the modern media is now, YouTube, internet, whatever, it's probably a lot better and easier than trying to read it all. Is that enough, Cole?